Going into the 2023 season, I had a fairly unique goal, and that was to track everything. We're talking diet, recovery, sleep, stress, hydration, meditation, mental health, anything, you name it. And the main reason I wanted to do this was to share it with you. I'm using 10 different pieces of technology to track everything about my day in and out as I travel through a Major League Baseball season. Just know that a lot of these things are a little bit more expensive than a person just wanting to, monitor their heart health is going to be able to afford. So wherever possible, I'm going to try to give you some options for cheaper or even just manual options, because most of the time it just takes a little bit of effort, just in case that is interesting to you and you would like to use it. But before we get into those 10 things, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Make sure you don't miss anything in the future, especially in regards to these topics, because I think you're going to find some of these things pretty interesting. And don't forget to comment below. Let me know if any of these items you want expanded on, you want me to do a video by itself, you want me to talk about how it fits into routine, anything like that, just hit me in the comments below and I'll see what you guys want to hear more about in the future. So let's just get into it. 10 things I use to track my progress through a Major League season. 1, anyone who is not familiar with Whoop, it is a subscription-based fitness tracker. It looks kind of like the old Fitbit used to look like. This is a Whoop. You can wear it on your wrist, you can wear it on your bicep, which I wear it on my left bicep when I pitch. And it tracks things like your heart rate, your HRV, your blood oxygen, your respiratory rate, pretty much the standards that a lot of these trackers track, except they have a wonderful app and community-based ecosystem where you can compete with people and check in on how everyone else is doing. And they have some proprietary algorithms that build how well you're sleeping or recovering based on your own baselines. But the most valuable thing it does is this app. Recovery is an algorithmic system. It gives you red, yellow, or green, depending on how well you slept that night and how primed you are, ready to go take on our next thing, strain. Strain is also algorithmic based on your cardiovascular output and your stress levels that day. It auto detects when your heart rate is elevated, asks you if you've been doing workouts. So I've been recording playing catch before the game. I've been recording all my workouts, I've been recording all my conditioning, I've been recording all of my outings when I pitch. So I know where my heart rate is through the outings. I know how hard I'm working on a day-to-day basis, and which then informs how much I need to sleep that next night. Within that recovery score, you're gonna get things like HRV overnight. I keep track of that. How much time you're in bed. Keep track of that. How much time you actually slept when you were in bed, and how long you were in your restorative phases, deep sleep and REM sleep. Talked about this stuff before. It tracks all of these things, and it's pretty accurate comparatively to the Apple Watch if you did it there, a Fitbit. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how it tracks these things as long as it's only you every time and you have baselines and you're seeing changes over time, which is the point of all of this. So you're shooting for green, and I'm always shooting for green. I'm not always green. Sometimes it's yellow, sometimes it's red. And that'll inform how much effort I need to put in or how much work I need to take out of my agenda for that day at the field so that I'm ready to pitch that night, because that is the most important thing. Other options that are a little bit more affordable or might be more affordable. This is a subscription model. The cool thing about this is the device is free, but you can pay monthly. Monthly, I think it's about 20 bucks a month. You can just try it 1 month. If you don't like it, it gives you too much information, it's not something you like, send it back. You pay 20 bucks, you tried it out. Or you can pay the flat fee and just get it forever in perpetuity with things like Fitbit or a Ring. You can just use your Apple Watch. You can use a Garmin. There's all kinds of products out there. You just do a quick search, go look at some reviews and see which things are the best and which bang for the buck and which is the most valuable for the amount of money you're spending, and you'll find a great option. Number 2, a Tindeck progressor. This is a Tindeck progressor. It's a little device that connects to your phone via Bluetooth. And the cool thing about it is it can measure force pushing in on these 2 nodes and pulling out on these 2. I have some carabiners and some hand straps and things, so you can attach it in all kinds of different configurations, pull across, you can anchor it to something, pull out. And what I use that for is measuring my shoulder ISO strength. It's a great little gadget. It takes a watch battery, which I've used this thing for 4 months, have not had to change the battery yet. This is a small company in Scandinavia, I think, maybe Sweden. And these are used by rock climbers to develop grip strength and practice holding on to things or seeing where you're at in your ability to climb or scale, mountains. What I use it for is, like I showed you before, I take the straps, a canometer in both sides, I anchor it to something, and I do my internal and my external shoulder strength. I get peak strength once a week, and I do every other day. I have a series of exercises that I do. I can go more in depth On that, if you want to see some of these things later, if you just tell me in the comments, please. Thank you. These run about $220, and this is for the max output one, the one with the highest threshold to record. It comes with an app on your phone where you can track in real time. So if you're trying to stay in a range, hold in a range, it can keep you in a range. These run about $220, and this is for the max output one, the one with the highest threshold. There's something called the Force Frame that is by one of the companies we're about to talk about next. And there's something called the Kangatech. These things are huge B2B businesses that cost money every year, and it's cost a lot of money to have the device, something that only professional teams will be able to afford. So if you want a solo version, highly recommend this. 3, I use something from a company called Vald called Force Plates. They're basically just 2 pads you put on the ground, as you can see here, and you can jump off them, you can push them down. They're very similar to the Progressor in that they just measure force in a bunch of different metrics, pushing in between them and another surface. So what I use it for is jump height, jump force, and those types of strength exercises are a good indicator of fatigue over time. The same thing with the Tindex. So these things anything that I'm measuring strength with, it's also to track whether or not usage is causing fatigue. I just jump on them, and then they also are very accurate for your weight. I just keep track of my weight every week too. Alternatives to this, again, this is one of those things that is a subscription model that's very expensive to do. So here's some things you can do on your own. Take a piece of paper, or take a piece of tape, or Post-it note, find somewhere high in your house or outside, maybe on the outside of your house, jump up, try to stick that thing, measure how far it is. Next week, do it the same thing, and you can see where your legs are at based on how high you're able to jump, and just try to make the environment the same every time. That's just the goal. Anytime you're measuring anything, just make sure that you're trying to keep baselines and everything as close to the same as possible so that your data doesn't get noisy. 4, the grip strength dynamometer. I believe it's called dynamometer. These are really nifty. You basically just turn it on, put yourself in the position you need to be in. I have bent and straight, which I do with my left and right arm. Still digital reader. Turn on the old thing, and you just squeeze the crap out of it, and it holds at the whatever the highest point is that you got to. You can measure that in pounds and in the newtons. That is a digital one. You can get a hydraulic one that's manual that are a little bit more pricey. That's about $30. Highly recommend that one. Very highly rated on Amazon. Number 5, my Apple Watch. Now, I would be remiss if I didn't use my Apple Watch because I have one already. I use it for other things that aren't health related, and I use it for one thing and one thing only, and that's the EKG app. You pull up the app here. Let's see if I can show it to you. EKG, it'll pull up this little thingy. It pulls up a little heart. You just touch the crown 30 seconds and you try to hold still. It measures heart rate, HRV, but also all the little minutia and details around your heartbeat that are very important for heart health. And if there ever was a heart problem, it would be very helpful for a doctor to see what's happened over time. So this is mostly just having a historical record, but I thought I would use it for something, and that's to make sure that my heart is in a good place. Number 6, also in the heart realm, we have something called a Polar H10. You may have seen athletes doing these in any documentary about sports or anything, or anyone on Instagram. It's just a basic heart rate monitor, and you just put it around your chest and wear it when you're working out, and it's real time. The Whoop also does heart rate, but when you record exercises and things, it's a little bit delayed. So I wanted to get something that was a little bit more in real time, because I'm testing how quickly I can downregulate, how quickly I can cool down. And that's one of the measurements I'm taking. The biggest thing is going to be able to pop open the app right after a workout, get myself to my max heart rate, which is 187, get it all the way up there, sit, 5 minutes go by, then you run the test and see where you're at. But I do it in rest. I do it right after the EKG every morning. Next, we have the NutriSense CGM. This little thing is a continuous glucose monitor. So what it does is I'm able to measure through just a quick tap with my phone through the NutriSense app, measure what my glucose is at any given time. And what I'm using for is logging all my meals and seeing how they spike me up or down. Glucose spikes are one of the hardest things on your body to process regularly. So if you are constantly spiking yourself up 50, down 50, up 50, down 50, when you go up to 50, your body has to produce insulin. Insulin levels working will crush that down and try to get you back to baseline or get you back to average as quickly as possible. So the more you fire it up, the more it has to work to get it down. If you're constantly doing that, your cells can get overloaded and be more apt to disease and breaking down quicker. So I read a book about it from the Glucose Goddess. Check her out. She's on Instagram. She's phenomenal. Learned some strategies. for how to do that. So I've just been running experiments, eating, seeing where I spike, eating, seeing where I spike, and going from there. And just trying to make better decisions, put my food through the day, make sure I have the most energy when I need it the most, and that is during a baseball game. Again, spendy. Unfortunately, if you want to be able to do this for any given amount of time, it's going to cost you $400 a month at least. But in terms of athletes, this is one of the best ones that I've had so far. If you want to just do it for 1 month, they have options for that to get an idea of how your diet is affecting your energy levels, but by no means necessary. You can go through your doctor. There's possibilities that insurance might be there for you if you're concerned about diabetes, but I wanted to do this because I've never really gotten into the weeds on my diet. Number 8, hydration through something called the Hydrate Spark app. Now this is a Hydrate Spark bottle. Got a battery in the bottom here with a sensor, measures how much you're drinking. You can get one of these. They run about $80. Not necessary by any means. I have another bottle over here that has numbers on it, and I just am keeping manually. But it comes with an app with the Hydrate Spark app. You can literally add liquid in as you want, and it keeps track of when you're hitting your goals. You can set whatever goal you want, and it just gives you a little bit of a nudge, and you can set reminders on your phone to say, hey, drink water. I drink a lot of liquid through the day, but I just wanted to know how much and make sure that I'm drinking at least 1.25 gallons or more a day, depending on my needs. But it's been warm recently, so that number has gone up, and it's more of a peace of mind thing. Number 9, the Headspace app. Wonderful meditation app. It is a subscription model yearly, but it's really cool because you can go test it out for free if you'd like a 30-day trial. And I love it for the amount of different ways you can use the meditation, the programs they have, the courses you can take, recommendations for the types of things that you might be interested in based on what you've been doing. It's very much a learning platform that tracks everything you're doing. And I love that it keeps your history, how many minutes overall you've meditated, how often you're doing it, and just kind of keeps you going that way. I've been using it since 2014. Huge fan of it. But just like anything else, you just go on YouTube, find somebody that you really like that does guided meditation, and just subscribe to them, and then just do it manually. Write it down when you're doing it, and it always comes down to just recording. Now the last thing, coup de grace. Check this stuff out. This is Obsidian. Obsidian is maybe the coolest thing I've ever used, ever. It is a notes taking app, and it has all these community plugins, all these core plugins, all these different ways that you can organize your stuff. And basically how I've used it is through the function called Daily Note. Basically, through a calendar, you click, it goes, you want to create your daily note? Sure. The daily note pops up. It has a template of all of these questions, basically everything that we've talked about so far, every metric with these 10 devices that I want to capture. I'm able to fill those questions out. It then takes all of this information that I put in and is able to push it elsewhere through a plugin called Tracker that builds graphs, and so I can see over time how these things are changing. This isn't by any means done or finished, but it's always going to be a work in progress, and it's really, really cool to see how, for example, lowering caffeine is improving my HRV generally over time, or how much better I sleep at home versus the road trips. Just so you know, Obsidian is phenomenal, and oh my god, if you're a nerd, you're gonna love this thing. If you get a Whoop, maybe we can join a group together, and I would love to hear what you guys are doing in the comments below. And as always, please let me know what you want to know more about. If you want more of this, hit the subscription, let me know. Tracking everything has become extremely beneficial to me as an athlete. The benefits for life are going to be even better. I thought that would be an interesting way for me to be a guinea pig, so that maybe you guys can glean 1 or 2 things that possibly will help you out in your own life. So if you liked what you saw, let me know, and I will see you next time on the channel. Peace.